My name is Ronnie Reno. I'm a staff attorney here at the Public Justice Center, and I want to tell you about one of the bills that was passed this year by the Maryland legislature. Just imagine if you were a tenant and you came home to find that the electricity to the home that you were renting had been turned off by the utility company without any warning to you of what was going to happen. That is exactly what happened to one of my clients, who then came into my office, where we called the utility company to ask why the utility had been turned off. The utility company told us it was because of the failure of the landlord to pay the bill. We then asked if the utility company would tell us the amount of the arrearage in the hope that the tenant could pay the arrearage and get the utility reconnected. Unfortunately, the utility company took the position that they could not tell us the amount of the arrearage because this was confidential information. I then asked if it would be possible for the tenant to have the utility service switched over into the tenant's name so that the tenant could open an account to pay the bill on a going forward basis. The utility company said that they could not do this unless we received the permission of the landlord. Unfortunately, the landlord was nowhere to be found, and so this poor tenant had to suffer with no electricity for a period of about 3 weeks while the Office of People's Counsel finally were able to work out a situation, an arrangement whereby the tenant could open a new account in the tenant's name. This experience led me to the conclusion that what Maryland needed was legislation that would permit a tenant to open a new account in a tenant's name in order to keep the utility from being terminated. This legislation should also provide for at least a 14-day advance notice to the tenant of a threatened utility turnoff, so the tenant would have time to contact the utility company to prevent the termination. Thirdly, that would be important that the legislation allow the tenant to deduct utility payments from future rent due to the landlord. This year, the legislature passed legislation that accomplishes all three of these objectives. The bill that was passed will hopefully benefit many tenants who experience this problem. We know, for example, that there were at least 300 phone calls made to the Baltimore Neighborhoods Inc. In 2012 about threatened or actual utility turnoffs. I suspect there are a great many more situations where tenants have experienced a utility turnoff but have not made any telephone calls because they don't know who to report the problem to and to seek assistance.